late 1950s was the beginning of the expansion of interest in the sciences, all drawing on the national response to Sputnik, which was read in the United States as an achievement of science. It's in the 50s that, for example, engineering mechanics gets established. Engineering mechanics is designed especially to develop engineers capable of engaging in research and development work in industry, in government research laboratories, and to provide students with a good theoretical background for graduate work and engineering design on a high professional plane. So now, beginning in the late 50s into the 60s, we now see the introduction of highly mathematized sciences inside of engineering. In the 60s, aerospace engineering is established. In the mid-60s, tremendous expansion of the institute takes place, in part because of the rising population of the state. In 1970, the school is expanded sufficiently to justify the name of a university, and it's given the name Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. Its mission expands from being teaching only to a combination of teaching and research. You should know that it was in the 1960s, 1967, that the Division of Engineering Fundamentals was now formally established. In the 70s, engineering mechanics is expanded to be engineering science and mechanics. So all the new fields are focusing on science. Aerospace engineering joins together with ocean engineering because of theoretical similarities between the two in the 1970s. And it's in the 1980s where the new fields of biomedical engineering and computer engineering emerge. The name Virginia Tech eventually surfaces and becomes a regular means of referring to the school, basically because of athletics and the need of sports reporters to clearly explain to audiences what school we're talking about. Having VPI listed on the ESPN score summary often confused viewers. So in sum, the history of this school, now called Virginia Tech, which developed with a land grant mission, gives us an example of the implications of the early Morrill Land Grant Act. As you can see from the focus on a combination of practical education and liberal education for the industrial classes, the school participated in widespread democratization of higher education, such that during the late 19th century and early 20th century, the access to higher education for Americans was tremendously expanded. At the same time, the continuing focus on practical knowledge inside of engineering for a long period of time basically was affirming our British identity, our British tradition, even while also providing some training in the classics. This emphasis was then countered over time by an increasing interest in the sciences, and increasing attempts to introduce the sciences, first as the application of science in the 19th century to practical problems to serve the state, and then following Sputnik in the last, say, 4 decades, this interest in the sciences becomes an interest in mathematically based training, and including the expansion and faculty making research commitments to the engineering sciences. So what we find in the Morrill Land Grant Act in this case, both the founding of the federal government's large-scale commitment to state-supported institutions, which basically have become the envy of the world today, and in there the establishment of a tradition, an expansion of a tradition of training in mechanical engineers and a variety of other disciplines that in a way were daughter products of mechanical engineering.